All right, today we're diving deep into the fascinating and, frankly, kind of paradoxical state of European cybersecurity. You see, it's a story of absolutely record-breaking growth on one hand and some deep hidden dangers on the other. And it all leads to the search for a new kind of professional you might not expect. So, if you just glance at the surface, everything looks amazing. I mean, money is just pouring into the sector, companies are spending like crazy, and the market's growing at this dizzying speed. But as we're about to see, all that cash might just be papering over some pretty big cracks. There's a much more worrying reality hiding underneath.
Okay, so let's start with the good news, right? If you just look at the market, European cybersecurity is in the middle of a full-blown gold rush. The investment, the growth, it's absolutely undeniable.
And the momentum is just incredible. We're talking an 11% year-on-year jump in just the first quarter of 2025. What that tells us is that after a really strong 2024, businesses aren't slowing down. No, they're actually hitting the accelerator on their security spending.
But here's where it gets interesting. That growth is not happening everywhere. We're seeing completely different stories depending on where you look. You've got powerhouses like Germany with a solid 15% jump. Then there's Italy with a jaw-dropping 26% rebound. But then you look at the UK and it actually went down by 12%. So yeah, it's a real mixed bag out there.
And this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. With all this money flying around, does it actually mean companies are safer? Is spending more the same thing as spending smarter? Well, the data seems to be telling us, maybe not.
So this brings us to the real problem. In spite of this spending boom, there's this deep vulnerability that's kind of lurking beneath the surface of European industry. And it's not the kind of problem you can just throw money at and hope it goes away.
Just take a look at this. The EU's Cyber Resilience Act, the CRA, is this massive new law that's going to reshape how digital products are secured. It's a huge deal for any company that sells in the EU. And yet, a staggering 68% of companies don't really know anything about it. They're basically flying blind straight into a regulatory hurricane. And look, this isn't some theoretical threat we're talking about. It is happening right now. More than half of companies have already been hit through their operational technology. You know, that's the real-world hardware and software that runs our factories, our power grids, our supply chains. It's a massive and often totally unprotected way for attackers to get in. A huge part of this comes down to just seeing what you have. Think of a software bill of materials, an SBOM, as just an ingredient list for your software. Without it, you don't even know what little pieces of code are running inside your systems. I mean, how are you supposed to protect yourself from a vulnerability if you don't even know it's there? And yet, 3/4 of these companies are operating without that complete list. And this quote from Jan Wendenberg, the CEO of OneKey, he just nails it. This is the cultural problem in a nutshell. The industry is stuck in this reactive mode. It's like waiting for your house to be on fire before you even think about buying a fire extinguisher. So if more money and more tech aren't the whole answer, then what is? Well, all the evidence is pointing to the most complex system there is. Us. People. You see, the industry is waking up to the fact that the best cybersecurity pros can't just be technical wizards anymore. They have to be amazing communicators who can explain a huge risk to a CEO in plain English. They have to be adaptable problem solvers who can think on their feet. These human skills are becoming the most valuable weapons we have. And the recruiters, the folks on the front lines trying to hire these people, they completely agree. A firm like Iceberg Security says these are the skills that separate a good hire from a great one. It's the difference between someone who can just manage the tools and someone who can actually drive real change across an entire organization. You can actually see this change happening in real time if you look at a role like the Data Protection Officer, or DPO. Before GDPR, this was often a pretty technical, behind-the-scenes auditor. Then it became all about legal compliance. But today, a DPO is expected to be a strategic advisor to the business. The job's responsibility and the pressure has just skyrocketed. Okay, so we've talked about the big picture and the skills you need. But what's it actually like for the professionals on the ground doing this work every day? What's the reality they're facing?
Well, for one thing, it depends massively on where you live. This snapshot just shows how wild the differences in pay can be. A red team lead, that's someone who gets paid to ethically hack into companies, can pull in 150,000 euros in Germany. But then you see a similar role, a red teamer in Italy, might make just 38,000. That is a massive, massive gap.
But, and this is a really smart point from a user on Reddit, you can't just look at that big salary number. It's not the whole story. You've got to think about taxes, cost of living, social benefits, all of it. A lower salary in a country with amazing public health care might actually give you a better quality of life than a higher one somewhere else. Context is everything.
So let's pull all this together. What does it actually take to be a successful, truly future-proofed cybersecurity pro in this complex European landscape? What's the formula?
Well, it really boils down to 4 key things. 1, you've still got to master the technical fundamentals. That's the price of admission. 2, you have to understand the complicated web of regulations like GDPR and the CRA. 3, you absolutely must build up those human skills, communication, critical thinking. And finally, you need a global mindset to navigate all these different markets and cultures.
But wait, there's actually one more skill. It's one that's often overlooked, but it gives you a real, tangible economic advantage over your whole career.
That skill? Being bilingual. It's a superpower in an industry that spans dozens of countries and cultures. The ability to speak more than one language? Research estimates it can add over $128,000 to your lifetime earnings. It's a powerful connector in a field that's all about connection.
Which kind of leaves us with this final question to chew on. As we pour billions and billions into new tools and tech, are we maybe focusing on the wrong thing? In a world of interconnected threats and international teams, maybe the strongest defense we can build isn't just about writing better code, but about building better human connection.